I never imagined that a simple cleaning lady could unlock the voices of my silent twins. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sun hung low, casting long shadows through the dusty windows. I felt the weight of silence in our home, heavy and oppressive. My twins, Mia and Noah, barely spoke. Their little faces wore perpetual frowns, their eyes clouded with unexpressed words. As I scrubbed the kitchen floor, I heard a knock. It was her. The cleaning lady. Her name was Rosa, and she had a strange aura. She moved with a grace that seemed otherworldly. I let her in, the air thick with unspoken tension. As she cleaned, I watched her hands dance over countertops, each gesture deliberate and precise. I felt an inexplicable pull, a flicker of hope rising in my chest. Rosa paused, gazing at my twins. "Do they talk?" she asked, her voice soft, almost a whisper. I shook my head, my heart tightening. I wanted to scream, wanted to explain how their silence consumed our lives, how every day felt like a pleading cry left unheard. "Just wait," she said cryptically, a knowing smile gracing her lips. It chilled me. Later that night, after Rosa had left, I caught Noah looking at Mia, his expression intense and desperate. It was something I had never seen before. I brushed it off, assuming it was nothing. But the next morning brought chaos. A thrumming energy coursed through our home. While I folded laundry, I heard laughter, peals of joy bursting from my children. My heart raced. Could this be real? Had Rosa truly sparked something in them? I rushed into the living room. Mia and Noah were sitting in a circle, their heads bent together, whispering frantically. I froze, watching them. It felt like a moment suspended in time, so delicate, so fragile. "What are you saying?" I croaked, my voice shaky with disbelief. They turned to me in sync, eyes wide. "Mom!" Their voices rose like sunlight through clouds, illuminating everything in the room, but before I could rejoice, they fell silent again, as if a ghost swept through and snatched their voices away. I felt the panic pool in my stomach. What had just happened? Who was Rosa, and what had she done to my children? I wanted to scream, to demand answers from the universe, but I was left with questions echoing in the silence, and then, in the blur of confusion, I noticed something glinting on the floor where Rosa had cleaned. I knelt, heart pounding as I picked it up. A key. A small silver key. It felt heavy in my hand, as if it held the weight of mysteries I couldn't even fathom. What did it unlock? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The weight of the silver key rested in my palm like a promise and a threat all at once. I stared at it, feeling an inexplicable connection to its potential. What door could this unlock? My mind raced, but the laughter of Mia and Noah echoed in the corners, reminding me of the fragile spark that had briefly ignited between them. It was as if the key thrummed with the energy of their voices, a tantalizing reminder of what lay just out of reach. The rest of the day collapsed into a blur, household chores and endless thoughts cycling in my mind while the children's laughter slipped back into silence. I couldn't shake the feeling that Rosa had intended for me to find the key, that it was a hint towards something larger, something that could bring my twins out of their cocoon of reticence. As evening descended and darkness blanketed the world outside, I found myself sitting cross-legged on the hardwood floor of their playroom, the key resting on my knee. Mia and Noah crouched in front of me, poring over their collection of toys. The dim light of the lamp cast soft shadows over their features, illuminating their delicate faces. The weight of expectation hung in the air. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I asked gently, hoping to draw them out of their silence. Mia looked up at me with large, earnest eyes, and for a fleeting moment, I saw a whirling tempest of emotions, fear, longing, and an eagerness that frightened me. But before she could speak, Noah chimed in, his voice bubbling over in a soft murmur, we don't know yet. The honesty of his admission brought tears prickling at the corners of my eyes, yet there was a dawning realization that these moments, fleeting as they were, felt different now. They were searching, striving to find their voices amid the turmoil that enveloped our lives. It was a glimmer of change, pulsing like a heartbeat, that I hadn't seen before. The next morning arrived shrouded in a fine mist, the world muted. I sat in the kitchen, sipping coffee, the key resting next to my cup. Perhaps it could unlock a way forward for us all. My heart pounded as I considered the possibilities. But as my gaze drifted to the door, a sense of dread clawed at me. What if the key unveiled something we weren't ready to face? Then, a sudden knock shattered my thoughts, reverberating through the stillness. I opened the door to find Rosa standing there, her expression unreadable. She held a small box in her hands, ornate and lined with intricate carvings. "I thought you might need this," she said softly, handing it to me. Her presence filled the air with a strange warmth, her eyes holding secrets that sensed my yearning. I hesitated before taking the box, apprehension swimming in my stomach. I opened it slowly, and inside lay an assortment of colorful stones, each one unique. Some shimmered like starlight, while others bore earthy hues. "These can help," she murmured, watching me closely. They connect to their energy. When they play with them, they may find their voices again." Mia and Noah. My voice trembled, both excited and terrified at the prospect. "Do you think they'll trust the process?" Rosa said, cutting through my uncertainty with conviction. "Let them explore, and you might discover more than you ever imagined." As I considered her words, doubt flickered in my mind. What if the path she proposed led us further away from healing? Closing the box, I thanked her, but the taste of fear lingered on my tongue. Back inside, I watched as my twins ambled into the room, their faces innocent and curious. I couldn't deny that Rosa's stones felt like a lifeline, but I also feared what might arise if they truly unleashed their voices. What secrets had remained buried? What truths would emerge from the depths of their silence? Mia picked the box from my hands, her fingers grazing over the stones. "Can we keep these, Mom?" she asked. For the first time, there was a spark of light in her eyes, and it lit a flicker of hope in my chest, but just as she spoke, the ground seemed to tremble beneath us. In that moment, the air shifted, filled with an electric charge. The lights in the house flickered, and a sudden crash sounded from the attic, sending our hearts racing. Something ancient and restless awakened in that instant, as if the universe was leaning in closer to unveil another layer of our tumultuous truth. With horror and intrigue mingling within me, I turned to my twins, their faces a mirror of my own confusion and uncertainty. What lay hidden in the echoes of our home, waiting to resurface in the light? Would this key and those stones lead us closer to salvation, or drag us further into the shadows? I gripped the silver key tightly, feeling its coolness pressed against my skin. I realized the journey had only just begun. The morning light poured through the window, illuminating swirling motes of dust that danced in the air like memories waiting to be unearthed. My heart echoed in my chest, a metronome for the anticipation and anxiety intertwining within me. The moments of laughter and the depths of silence felt far too intertwined, like strands in a fragile tapestry that could unravel at any moment. I watched Mia and Noah from the doorway, their small figures bent over the box of colorful stones that Rosa had entrusted to us. Noah clutched a piece that glistened blue like a summer sky, while Mia examined a smooth, earthy brown stone that appeared to glimmer with hidden depths. They sat together, the silence between them no longer suffocating, but a suspended breath filled with unspoken possibilities. "Do you think these will help?" Mia asked, brushing her fingers over the stones delicately. Her voice was hesitant, like the gentle unfolding of a flower. She looked up at me, and for a brief moment, I caught a flicker of defiance. It ignited a spark of hope within me. "Maybe," I responded, kneeling next to them, my fingers grazing the cool stones. Rosa believes they can connect you to your energy, help you find your voices. The weight of my words hung in the air, a promise tinged with uncertainty, as the sense of a new beginning brushed against the backdrop of our reality. Noah turned the blue stone over in his hand, gaze focused intently. He slid it between his fingers with a newfound intent. What if we could be louder? What if it works? He whispered, almost to himself, hopeful yet fearful of the unknown. That would be amazing. Mia replied, her eyes shining with possibility. We could tell stories, make people laugh, even make friends. Her enthusiasm wrapped around us like a soft blanket, and for the first time, it felt possible that the silence could shatter. With a surge of emotion, I proposed, let us play a game. Why don't you each pick your favorite stone and think of a story to tell? We can take turns. Okay. They chimed together, hearts buoyed by the shared adventure. Their faces lit up as they discussed characters and plots, laughter bubbling between them like a sweet melody. But even as hope blossomed, an uneasy knot twisted in my stomach, remnants of the fear from the day before lingering just beneath the surface. The day wore on, cloaked in laughter and imaginative storytelling. We built castles in the air, caught shadows and dreams, pieces of our life weaving new patterns. Yet, just as the evening grew heavy with contentment, the ominous tremor from the attic invaded our sanctuary once more. Hesitation swept over me, like a shroud of fog rolling in, obscuring the lightness we had created. Did you hear that? I murmured, my voice quavering. A silence blanketed the room, the previous excitement seemingly swallowed by the unknown that lay beyond our walls. The twins exchanged glances, fear creeping into their eyes, dimming the light of newfound hope. What if something bad happens? Noah whispered, a hesitance threading through his words. We could explore it together. Mia suggested, her bravery surprising me. The thought made my heart swell and ache at once, but I couldn't let fear consume them again. If we go as a team, we can face whatever is up there. I took a deep breath, gripping the silver key tightly, feeling its cool reassurance. We ventured into the hallway, each step echoing like whispers of forgotten secrets stirring within the shadows. As we approached the attic door, I glanced at my twins, their faces pale yet determined. Just as I reached for the doorknob, a sharp crack of thunder erupted outside, as though the world was unleashing its fury upon us. Startled, Mia jumped back, squeezing Noah's hand tightly. What if we get scared? Before I could respond, a sudden gust of wind slammed the attic door open, sending a chill cascading through the hallway. Within the dim light, faded boxes and old relics greeted us, but something intangible pulsed in the air, vibrating with energy that felt almost alive. A scrawled piece of paper fluttered to the floor, and I instinctively bent to retrieve it, heart racing as I traced the familiar handwriting Rosa S. With trembling fingers, I unfolded it, and the words spilled into my mind like haunting echoes, the key opens the door to truths unspoken. Beware, for the past carries secrets that may reshape the present. As the implications of her message crashed over me, I felt the walls tremble again, and something more ominous roared within the depths of the house. The twins pressed closer, their eyes wide as the weight of a revelation hovered above us like a storm cloud ready to break. What revelations could lie hidden here? What truths would emerge if we uncovered them? All I knew was that our journey was teetering on a precipice, and with the darkness swirling around us, I had to wonder was revealing their voices worth unveiling a past better left buried. As the candlelight flickered around us, casting elongated shadows along the attic walls, the atmosphere became thick with anticipation, a tangible force pressing against our chests. I glanced down at the note again, the words twisting in my mind, each syllable echoing like a drum in the silence that enveloped us. Beware, for the past carries secrets that may reshape the present. Noah, ever the more sensitive of the twins, squeezed my hand so tightly it nearly stung. I looked at him, trying to convey strength through my gaze. Mia stood close, her unwavering courage seemingly a shield around us both. What do the words mean, Mom? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, yet imbued with childlike curiosity that tugged at my heart. I I think it means we have to be careful, I replied, my throat dry. Rosa knew things about this house, our family, things we might not be prepared to hear. The unsettling thought danced at the edge of my awareness. What if the truths we uncovered came with a weight we weren't ready to bear? As I turned towards the room, an odd rustling noise drew my focus to a corner shrouded in darkness, where old rafters creaked ominously. My heart quickened. I felt the twins' breath hitch, an unspoken agreement weaving between us to face this specter together. If there was something hidden in this house, it belonged to us now, secrets woven into the very fabric of our lives. I'll go first, I offered, stepping forward into the shadowed corner, determined to unveil whatever lay there. The floorboards groaned beneath my weight, the sound amplified in the stillness. I reached toward a mound of dust and debris piled high against an old wooden trunk, a trunk that whispered stories of the past, a symbol of what had been locked away. The trunk was heavy, its leather cracked and worn, but it obeyed my touch, opening with a sigh that echoed like a forgotten breath. Inside, the contents were obscured by a layer of years, but floating in the murky depths, I caught a glimpse of a dusty photograph. I dug deeper, my fingers trembling as I pulled it out, revealing a faded image that brought a rush of memories flooding back, a family portrait. The image showed a woman who looked strikingly like me, her eyes bright yet shadowed with an emotion I couldn't place. Beside her, a man whose face I recognized only in flashes of old memories when Grandma would reminisce. A chilling realization washed over me. The twins' silence hadn't just stemmed from the trauma we faced, but from the unanswered questions that enveloped our lineage, stories buried beneath layers of grief. Noah leaned closer, curiosity battling his rising anxiety. "Who is she?" he asked, pointing to my doppelganger. "That's me," I whispered, my heart racing. I scanned the picture, searching for a family that had once thrived, lovelorn and longing. Well, part of me, I suppose. I mean, she looks like me, but suddenly, a soft gasp escaped from Mia, pulling my attention. Her finger trembled as she pointed to a small box that sat behind the photograph, decorated with intricate designs that looked as though they held their own stories. With shared determination, we pulled it from its resting place, dust swirling around us like an ethereal mist. "What if it's something special?" Mia suggested, her eyes alight with wonder. "Or something terrifying," Noah breathed, his voice wavering, fingers trembling. I unlatched the box, and as I opened it, a whisper of cool air brushed past us. Inside lay a collection of small charms, each engraved with symbols that felt strangely familiar yet foreign. Each charm seemed to hum, a lingering energy radiating from them that sent cascades of warmth through my veins. The three of us backed away, absorbed in the moment, when the sudden crash of thunder outside demanded our attention once more. The room felt charged, as if the very air around us vibrated with untold stories, and suddenly, as if responding to that energy, Noah spoke. "What if this helps us?" "What do you mean?" I asked, looking down at the charms, at the possibility they could connect the past with our present. What if these can unlock our voices? Noah's eyes gleamed with the fervor of hope and fear, his small form edged with determination. Mia nodded adamantly, "Yeah. What if Rosa left these here for us?" That spark within me reignited, a flicker of kindness and magic in the idea that even amidst the trials we faced, we might locate some unseen tether to our past. "Let's try," I said, the shiver of excitement threading through my heart. But the room shifted abruptly, the shadows growing deeper as a foreboding sense crept in like the encroaching dusk. A chilling draft swept through, extinguishing our candlelight, plunging us into darkness. In the thick silence that followed, we huddled closer together, my children and me, wrapped in a cocoon of apprehension and clamoring hope. Then I heard it, a low, mournful sound rising from the depths of the house, reverberating through the walls, echoing the truth of secrets long buried. The sound felt like a siren call, vibrating through my core and urging us toward something that had yet to be revealed. I looked into my children's eyes, trepidation alive in the air, feeling a shiver of dread as I realized we stood on the edge of something vast and uncharted. "Mom," Noah whispered, his small voice trembling. "What if the answers aren't what we want to hear?" I couldn't answer him, nor did I have the words to ease the rising storm in my heart. As we stood suspended in the void of uncertainty, dread clawed at me, a fierce reminder that unveiling our family's truths might come at a perilous cost. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, another shock of thunder rattled beneath our feet, jolting us back to the present, and with a new ferocity, the whispers of the past called, softer yet undeniable, shrouded in the shadows of the attic, waiting to reclaim their voices that might just fracture the fragile bond one had tried to hold together for so long. The storm outside raged on, casting an eerie light through the attic's cracked window. The low hum of despair mingled with the sounds of thunder, creating an ambience that felt too heavy for all three of us. The darkness enveloped us as we fought against the rising tide of fear and confusion, searching for the light both literal and metaphorical. That I hesitated, unwilling to dive deeper into the unknown without knowing precisely what lay ahead. I began, but Mia's eyes caught something behind the shadows, a flicker of movement, a figure emerging like a wisp of fog. Fear snaked through my gut as I turned, expecting to confront a lingering spirit from the past, but instead, it was a small streetlight, its glow filtering through the grime of the window, illuminating just enough of the charms we had uncovered. My heart raced, not just for the glimpse of clarity the light provided, but for the memory that sparked in my mind, unbidden like an echo of distant laughter. What if that light means something? Mia breathed, clenching my hand, her little fingers pressing against my skin like an anchor amidst the tempest. Noah, can you hand me the charm with the crescent moon? I asked softly, trying to keep my voice steady. It felt strange to be giving a task to my son amidst the chaos threatening to devour us whole, but the pull toward the charms, toward their promise, was enticing. Perhaps there was a revelation to hold on to, a thread unspooling that could lead us out of our tangled web. He reached down, retrieving the charm from the box. Its surface shimmered in the dim light, and for a moment, everything felt charged with potential. I wondered if all of this was just a convenient mirage fueled by my desire for hope, but every fiber of my being urged me to believe we were on the precipice of something significant. As he handed me the charm, a small wind seemed to sweep through the attic, stirring the dust motes and filling the air with a sense of anticipation. I held the crescent moon charm in my palm, its cool metal warmed by my grip, and I felt something shift within me. It was as if the past just beyond reach was whispering louder now, beckoning me to listen. What if we each wear one? I suggested, looking at both siblings with a newfound resolve. Maybe they can connect us to the stories we've yet to uncover. Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement as she picked up the charm shaped like a star, while Noah ran his fingers over a heart-shaped charm. In that small moment, the weight of fear lightened, replaced with a flickering flame of hope, a hope that perhaps these delicate trinkets would breathe life into our conversations. Kind of like a magic amulet? Noah asked, his eyes widening, momentarily forgetting the shadows lurking around us. Yes. Exactly like that. Mia exclaimed, already fumbling to put the charm on a chain she had left hanging from her pocket. I couldn't help but smile at their enthusiasm, so delicate and radiant amidst the tempest. As they fastened the charms around their necks, there was a palpable shift in the atmosphere, as if we had invited the very essence of our lineage to join us in the attic. But just as swiftly as the warmth enveloped us, a cold draft swept through again, causing the stack of boxes piled haphazardly in the corner to crash to the ground, sending dust and memories scattering. The sound reverberated through my bones, a harsh reminder of the chaos waiting for us in the shadows. Mia. Noah squeaked, his voice cracking, clutching her tighter. It's okay, I reassured them, summoning the courageous mother I hoped to embody. We knew the journey wouldn't be easy. Yet, in the very center of that chaos, in the silenced heart of the storm, a tiny glimmer flickered through the remnants of a long-forgotten box that had tumbled to the floor. I knelt down, my heartbeat echoing in my ears, and brushed away the dust, revealing an old diary, its leather cover dulled by age but still marred with a beautiful complexity. The weight of the discovery coursed through my fingers. I don't believe this, I murmured, my voice trembling with trepidation and disbelief. It's a diary. It belonged to Rosa. As I reached for the clasp, a reverent hush fell over us. The air seemed to hold its breath, waiting in anxious anticipation. Just then, an intense flash of light pierced through the darkness, illuminating every corner of the attic for a split second before plunging us back into the deep grip of shadows once more, but it was enough. I could feel the others ease their grip, caught momentarily in the beauty of that shared, fleeting moment. I turned the clasp, barely remembering to breathe, and suddenly the binding released as pages surged before me, a cacophony of scrawled thoughts, unfiltered emotions, and secrets longing to unfurl. And with each delicate page I turned, I felt the mantle of understanding nestle deeper within me, lifting me above the uncertainty that had threatened to suffocate us. But just as I reached what seemed to be the final entry, an ear-splitting crack of thunder yanked my attention, and once again, the shadows around us twisted ominously. Noah squeezed my hand tightly again, and before I could glean the final words that would unveil Rosa's truth, the air grew electric with tension, the wind howling as if warning us of the tempestuous storm that awaited inside our family's past. Ma Mia's voice trembled as a sudden loud crash echoed from somewhere deeper in the house. "We need to go," I exclaimed, panic flaring in my gut. Before I could gather my thoughts or comprehend the weight of the diary in my hands, a loud thud rattled the attic once more, and the door creaked ominously open, beckoning us to step into the unknown darkness. My breath caught in my throat as a figure emerged from the shadows. The familiar silhouette sent an icy dread coursing through me as that cliff from which we were so hesitant to jump, loomed larger than life before us that I didn't need to ask. Each shiver of recognition, every instinct screamed the truth that I feared most. "Is she?" I started, but the words caught in my throat as my heart fractured at the prospect of secrets untold colliding with the urgent need for resolve, a storm brewing deep within the family portrait I was desperately hoping to piece together, and in that moment, standing amongst the wreckage of our whirlwind, all I could think was that the voices we were searching for might not only be those of my twin children, but possibly a few others we had long thought silenced. The storm raged on outside, the atmosphere thickening with every flash of lightning that split the sky. It seemed to mirror the turmoil brewing within me as I stood frozen, the leather diary still clutched tightly in my hands while the figure emerged from the suffocating shadows. My heart thumped loudly in my chest, a desperate rhythm fueled by a cocktail of fear and the flickering glimmers of hope. "Mia, Noah, stay close," I murmured, my gaze fixed on that silhouette, the woman who stood framed against the window, her features indistinct yet eerily familiar. The hair falling around her shoulders formed wisps of dark tendrils, and despite the chaos, an inexplicable warmth radiated from her presence, cutting through the tension. Could it be? The crushed dreams of my past surged forward, igniting a flicker of recognition. Before I could grasp the full reality of what I was facing, her face lit faintly by a flash of lightning revealed striking resemblance. It was as if a window to a bygone era had opened, one I had thought closed forever. "Rosa?" My voice quavered as disbelief clawed at my throat. The name dripped from my lips like a sacred incantation, fragile yet resonant in the night. The specter of past grievances, long-lost connections, seemed to swirl around us. Without a word, she stepped closer, lifting a trembling hand, fingertips reaching out as though she were part of a dream slipping through the folds of reality. My heart pinched painfully at the sight, echoing a history filled with confusion, loss, and unanswered questions. This was the woman who had been the bridge to my children's silence, their voice in a world that had left them unheard. In that moment, the storm outside thundered violently, rattling the very foundation of the house. Noah shifted, hiding behind me as if the sheer intensity of the revelation frightened him more than the potential threats lurking in the storm. Mia tugged at my sleeve, wide-eyed and awash in both fear and exhilaration. "Mom," she whispered, a fragile thread of courage woven into her voice. The bond we had formed through our shared moments of grief shimmered as she sought reassurance. I think it is her," I breathed softly, unable to tear my gaze away from the spirit of our past. "This is Rosa. She is part of our lives in ways we hardly understood." As Rosa moved closer, the attic was momentarily swallowed in darkness. But just as quickly, a humble glow returned, filling the space with a warm light that felt restorative. It ignited involuntary memories, fragments of shared laughter, gentle moments of love that flickered brilliantly like stars caught amidst the chaos. "Your journey has been painful, my children," Rosa whispered as she stepped from the shadows. Her voice, rich yet gentle, wove itself into the very fabric of our shared reality. I came to help you remember. Remember? I repeated softly, dulled with skepticism as I clutched the diary tighter. My thoughts swirled, drowning in the weight of uncertainty that Rosa's appearance brought. How can we possibly remember when so much has been lost? I am not merely a memory, I am a part of you, she asserted, grace pouring from her like a fervent river, carrying hope and promise. The voices of your twins are not silent, they are waiting to be awakened, much like you. Waiting for what? Noah's voice piped up, emboldened by curiosity. To talk to someone. To be understood, Rosa replied, offering him a comforting smile that draped warmth like a blanket around us. Your struggles stem from silenced fears, from secrets held too long in the darkness. They became whispers within you, drowning out the connection you all share. The charms you hold on to, they are keys, symbols of your lineage, unlocking the truths buried beneath. Mia clutched her star charm, her eyes glimmering with hope. But how do we wake them up? How do we find their voices? She asked, her innocence brimming with belief. By embracing the chaotic tide of your journey, Rosa replied, a sorrowful smile brushing against her lips, and inviting the shadows to dance with the light. The words rippled through me, lapping at the shores of my own doubts. I felt the stirring, like a call to arms pushing me closer to understanding. A promise danced over Rosa's shoulders, and deep within that promise, a tantalizing hint of hope glowed like a golden thread woven into fabric frayed and torn by past storms. But just as my heart began to soar, once again the sky roared, and thunder clapped outside, drowning out our moment of reflection. Fear surged back, threatening to pull us under. The attic rattled, the remnants of the old boxes scattered, and echoes of forgotten histories shivered through the space, and then the room slipped into a suffocating silence, the kind that dared you to hold your breath. Rosa's face faltered, a shadow passing over her features, and a deep sense of urgency crept in. The storm is returning. You must gather not just memories, but courage. Courage for what? I asked, the question breaking my heart with its weight. To face what lies behind the veil of silence, Rosa replied softly. To confront the truth of your connection and discover what truly binds you together. With that, she reached for the diary, her fingers brushing against the weathered pages, and a flash of light illuminated the attic once more. The glow shone bright and fierce, revealing images and words that flickered before our eyes, the past spilling into the present, mishmashed with emotions still raw for every one of us. Just as I tried to decipher the pages now unearthed, their significance crystallizing in my mind, the attic door creaked behind me. Expecting darkness, I turned only to find another figure standing at the threshold, silhouetted against the bathroom light reflecting from the hallway, eyes glinting with recognition. Mom. Came a voice that sent shivers down my spine, a voice I had not heard in years. The walls of our world, built painstakingly in the confines of our silence, trembled with the return of what had been long lost. Suddenly, my heart raced with the realization that our journey was deeper than I could have ever imagined. And as the storm howled outside, I could feel the boundaries between life and memory begin to blur, leaving us all hanging over a precipice, one that could either reveal the fractured pieces of our family or push us deeper into the void. Who are you? The new figure stepped into the light, revealing a haunting familiarity, and in that instant, everything shattered again. The heavy air in the attic thickened, wrapping around us like a suffocating blanket as I faced the doorway. The familiar outline of the figure standing there sent my heart into a chaotic carousel of emotions, flashes of happiness, grief, and confusion all swirled together in an overwhelming rush. Liam. I stammered, the name escaping my lips like a prayer. It felt foreign yet achingly familiar, the echoes of our past reverberating through the crevices of my mind. He had been just as much a part of my children's lives as Rosa, another ghost from the archives of my memories. Mom. His voice wavered, catching on the nervous tension of the moment. His eyes, a mirror to my own, reflected a storm that was not unlike the one outside. They searched my face, desperate for a recognition that neither of us could achieve completely. I came as soon as I heard. The storm, it's worse than anyone thought. Why are you here? The question slipped from me, jagged and unsure, echoing the rift that had grown between us over the years. The space felt heavy with unsaid words, burdens we had carried individually but never shared. Because of them, he said, gesturing towards Mia and Noah, his voice rife with emotion. Because you need to understand what happened, what is still happening. I thought maybe I could help. How? I felt the anger rearing up, pushing against the raw edges of my heart. Help us with what, Liam? You disappeared. You left. The accusation dripped with hurt, words I had long buried resurfacing like scalding wounds that he stepped closer, urgency spilling from him as he glanced at Rosa. You have the key now, the diary. If we can just look deeper, maybe it can show us what is buried. Noah interjected, his small voice breaking through the tension, a beacon of innocence amidst our gathering storm. I glanced down at him, seeing both fear and curiosity mingling in his expression. And maybe it can help us. Liam stammered, desperately searching for a way to validate his presence, to bridge the chasm that had long existed between us. Maybe we can finally what? I snapped, frustration lacing my tone. The truth felt like an anchor, heavy and unyielding against the tide of relief I longed for. Tell us something we don't know. That we never came together as a family after the accident. All you did was leave us to fend for ourselves. The words hung in the air, stinging with the echoes of betrayal. But instead of retreating, Liam squared his shoulders, determination sparking in his eyes. I did what I thought was right. I thought you would find peace without me, that I was the chaos you needed to escape. Mia squeezed my hand tighter, looking from me to her brother, her voice trembling yet hopeful. But we're not whole without you, Liam. None of us are. With that, the room fell silent, a stillness crashing over us like the calm before the storm. We stood suspended in awkward tension, caught between the past that sought to anchor us to the ground and the future that loomed just beyond reach. Then Rosa stepped forward, bridging the divide that had grown between us all. This is not just about past mistakes or familial failures, she murmured, her gaze steady on Liam. It's about finding the pieces that have been scattered, weaving them back into a tapestry of understanding. Right. Liam nodded, the flicker of hope igniting his features. The diary, it holds more than just words, it's our truth, our story. If we can work together, maybe we can unlock its secrets, mend what is broken. Just as hope began to shift the air around us, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the attic, and darkness fell in an instant. The storm crescendoed outside, drowning out our conversation with a sudden ferocity that threatened to tear apart the fragile moments of clarity and warmth we had begun to weave. Mia! Noah cried out, his gentle spirit fracturing in the chaos. I turned, reaching for him, but the room was swallowed in an incomprehensible darkness, the kind that evoked the deepest fears within us, and then, within the pitch-black void, I heard the unmistakable sound. The delicate tinkling of something precious, something fragile, shattering into shards. No! I screamed, the word escaping me in raw desperation. The echoes seemed to bounce off the walls, but before I could comprehend, the attic door burst open. A gust of wind whooshed in, swirling around us and lifting the dust in a frenzy, as if the very chaos of the storm outside had infiltrated our sanctuary. I and the chaos, the diary slipped from my hands, landing on the floor with a deafening thud. Time seemed to stretch as I gasped, a sickening dread washing over me. I reached out, but as I did, the storm raged outside, drowning our cries, swirling around us, enveloping everything in darkness. And then, in an ephemeral moment, I saw a flicker of light emanating from the pages of the diary, glowing with an ethereal brilliance that chased the shadows away. It beckoned me, whispering secrets, weaving in and out of the chaos, promising answers locked away within its depths. That I could feel the pulse of 1,000 memories within it, each heartbeat a tether to what was lost, a bridge to what may still be found. But just as I took a step forward, drawn to it like a moth to a flame, darkness descended once again, the realization settling heavy on my chest. Something or someone was still watching from the shadows, lurking just beyond the veil of fear, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the storm was just beginning. The storm outside howled like a living creature, its unrelenting fury shaking the very foundation of our home. I stood frozen, torn between the ethereal light shining from the diary and the fearful cries of my children. In that moment, the pulsating glow felt like both a promise and a curse, as if it held the weight of our fractured past and the potential to either heal or destroy us. "Mia, Noah, stay close!" I shouted over the turmoil, instinctively reaching for their hands, feeling the warmth of their small fingers wrapping around mine. In the midst of my panic, Liam stepped forward, facing the chaotic storm of the world outside and the tempest brewing between us all. "It's okay," he said, his voice steady despite the fear writhing in the air. "Let us just breathe. Whatever happens, we're together." His words felt like a lifeline, tethering me to the present while the past surged like a wave threatening to engulf me. I looked around the attic, focusing on the threads that bound us, the memories that had woven our existence together, and I felt a flicker of recognition unfurling within me, a glimmer of hope amidst the storm. "You really think that diary can answer our questions?" I asked, my heart racing as I shifted my gaze back to that radiant light. "What if it just brings more pain?" "This is our only shot," he insisted, his eyes firm. "If the diary holds the answers, then we owe it to ourselves to find out what it says." Noah looked up at me, his blue eyes wide and filled with trust. "Mom, we can fix this. We have to try." The innocence of his words struck me deeply. How had I allowed fear to overshadow hope for so long? Mia, catching the light from the diary, said softly, "It's calling to us. It wouldn't shine like that if it meant to hurt us." I took a deep breath, pushed through the heavy tension in my chest, and nodded. "All right. Together, then." We moved toward the diary, cautiously stepping over scattered debris that had fallen in the chaos, the remnants of our memories that had once seemed fragile but now represented our path forward. As we reached it, Liam knelt down, his hands trembling slightly as he picked it up, blinking as if struck by its warmth. "Let us do this," he breathed, opening the cover, and as he did, the air around us shifted. The storm's ruckus dulled, and the glow intensified, bathing our faces in soft light. As the pages fluttered open, the words appeared before us, shimmering with life, and the room danced with echoes of forgotten voices, of familiar laughter, a disgruntled argument, whispers of knowledge long thought lost. Each phrase we read exchanged glances of realization, the truth spilling out like a long-held breath. The stories of our lives intertwined with dark and light, pain and joy, glistening across the crisp pages like the raindrops racing down the attic windowpane. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew through the open window, extinguishing the light momentarily as the diary fluttered violently, its pages turning like they held a life of their own. The air turned frigid, and I felt my heart sink again, the fears of the storm seeping back in. Noah's hand squeezed mine tighter. "Don't let go, Mom," he whispered, anchoring me against the mounting dread. "Look!" Liam cried, pointing to a page that had steadied itself. "This doesn't just talk about us, it mentions Rosa." The revelation sent a shiver through me. I turned the page cautiously, my breath catching as I read the delicate ink scrawled across the paper, "Rosa, the silent keeper of the whispers, she knows more than anyone." Confusion gripped me. What could that mean? And why had Rosa been referenced so profoundly? Before I could voice my thoughts, a loud crack filled the air as a bolt of lightning struck nearby, making the attic tremble again. Liam dropped the diary in shock, and it slipped from his hands. Once again the room was smothered in darkness. "Liam!" I shouted, panic rising as I reached out blindly, my heart hammering erratically. The flickering glow was gone, extinguished as if the storm had swallowed not just the light but the hope it had brought with it. "Mia! Noah!" My voice felt swallowed in the dark. "Mom, I can't see." Noah whimpered. Suddenly, I heard a voice, soft, melodic, almost a whisper, but in stark contrast to the howling outside. "Come find me," it beckoned, floating through the air like a delicate thread. "Who is there?" I called out, my heart racing between fear and recognition. But then it struck me a familiar resonance. It sounded like Rosa, only softened, lilting like a lullaby. Rosa? I dared to call into the dark. Where are you? Silence hung heavy for a moment, the storm swelling outside, until I heard it again, clearer this time, wrapped in an echo of desperation. I'm here. You just need to listen. My chest tightened, a rush of dread washing over me. We were on the cusp of something monumental, yet the looming storm threatened to sever that fragile thread of connection. But just as I pulled in a breath to gather my strength, a haunting realization struck. Rosa's voice couldn't just be a figment of my imagination. She had been with us all along, perhaps more intricately woven into our lives than I had understood. As I fumbled through the darkness, a soft glow began to return, creeping back into the corners of the attic, illuminating figures once more. But with it came a chilling certainty, a sensation that as we sought the answers within the diary, we were not alone in our quest. And the truth, whatever it was, remained shrouded just out of reach, waiting to reveal itself, poised on the precipice of our most desperate fears. The storm's howling faded into an eerie stillness, as if the world outside had paused, holding its breath. Within that charged silence, the glow of the attic flickered ominously, casting shadows that danced with menacing grace. My heart raced, caught in the crossfire of dread and determination as I clutched Noah's hand tighter, feeling the pulse of his fear match my own. Mia, stay close, I urged softly, trying to keep my voice steady for her reassurance. The last thing I wanted was for my children to sense my unraveling skepticism, the weight of the unknown threatening to pull us under. Liam's face, pale and etched with concern, mirrored my fears, yet he stood resolute beside me, his presence a reminder of the fragile hope that still lingered among us. Did you hear her? Liam whispered, almost reverently, as we moved closer to the illuminated diary. Rosa is here. She is still part of this. I can't fathom how, I breathed, struggling to comprehend how someone who had so sharply receded into our past could suddenly resurface, replete with whispers of truth. The diary lay untouched, its pages fluttering softly as greater winds howled outside, begging us to turn them. Yet an invisible wall seemed to rise, a boundary marked by grief and unresolved questions, tethering us to our painful history. Mom, I think I saw something. Mia's voice quivered, breaking the silence that hung between us. She knelt, her small form moving across the floor until she crouched by what looked like a faded photograph lying in the debris. Here, she said, her voice softer, yet resolute. As she lifted it into the light, I recognized the faces in the photograph, the golden curls of a child, the familiar glint in Rosa's eyes, twinkling with youthful promise, an echo of laughter suspended in time. The sight hit me like a punch to the gut, the bittersweet memory of our lost bond rekindling a flame of yearning. Mom. Mia spoke again, holding the picture like a precious artifact. Look at the back. With trembling fingers, I turned the photo to reveal a simple inscription. The letters, scribbled in a haste that verged on desperation, read, "If you wish to understand, listen to the whispers of the past. I will guide you, even in silence." Listen to the whispers, Noah echoed, a look of profound concentration crossing his face. Like Rosa's voice? Exactly, I whispered, feeling the threads of fate weaving tighter around us. As much as I wanted answers, the path forward was steeped in shadows and uncertainty. As the attic quaked with another blast of wind, the flicker of light re-emerged, illuminating the diary's pages once again. This time, a particular phrase caught my eye: "In the presence of those you trust, healing can begin." I closed my eyes, steadying my breath as I tried to gather the courage needed to excavate our buried truths. "We need to confront our memories," I said slowly, turning to face both my children. The intensity of their gazes, wide and searching, urged me on. Rosa was not just our cleaner, she was part of our family. She loved us in ways we couldn't see. Mia nodded, and Noah squeezed my hand again. "But how do we find her?" She said she would guide us. His voice trembled like a leaf caught in the wind, but its strength surged through me, igniting the resolve I so desperately sought. I think I hesitated as a new sensation crept into my heart, a suggestion flickering at the edges of my mind. "I think we may need to visit the places we shared with her. The cemetery, her house, anywhere the past feels alive. No. Liam blurted unexpectedly, the urgency in his voice startling us. No, we shouldn't be seeking her out. What if we're opening doors that need to remain shut? What if the storm isn't just outside? His gaze flicked with fear toward the window. What if it's here with us? The weight of his words pressed down on me. The storm had never been a mere weather event, it represented our turmoil, a reflection of unresolved anguish. Rosa's silence had been our collective grief, buried beneath layers of time and loss. We can't ignore her, Liam, I countered. Softly, desperation creeping into my voice. If she is trying to guide us, if her whispers are the key to understanding our fractures, then we owe it to ourselves to listen. Tension crackled in the air, and I could sense the turmoil reflect back at me from my children's worried faces. Just then, amidst the quiet trickle of fear and hope, the attic door creaked open slightly, a gust of icy air escaping, sending chills down my spine. Mom, Noah's whisper quaked as he stared toward the door. Noah, it's just the wind, I assured, though the resolve in my voice wavered, but as soon as I spoke, a rustling sound emerged from the shadows, cracked and fragile like the very foundation of our lives. A stark silhouette formed at the doorway, cloaked in darkness. You called for me? A voice lilted from the shadows deep, tinged with familiarity. The world around me spun into a kaleidoscope of uncertainty, reverberating with unformed fears. My heart raced as I realized that the sorrow of the storm had morphed into something darker, the specter of memories converging all at once, erupting into tangible fear before us. My breath held captive in the midst of the moment, I turned to my children, searching their eyes as if they held the answers to this haunting revelation. And just when I thought I'd grasped the situation, it shifted, becoming something altogether unrecognizable, as the figure stepped forward, illuminated in the flickering glow Rosa's likeness, both beloved and feared, promising revelation yet shrouded in unanswered questions. The figure stepped into the attic, revealing itself in the wavering light like a ghost rising from a forgotten narrative, a chapter left unfinished. I felt the world around us dim, swallowed by a weight heavier than the storm outside. Rosa? I struggled to find my voice, which came out trembling, like thin glass ready to shatter at the slightest vibration. The resemblance was undeniable, it ignited a flurry of memories, happy laughter, bittersweet tears, the countless moments we had shared that once seemed inconsequential. Yes, dear, the voice rang soft and familiar, wrapping around us like delicate strands of comfort. I have always been here. But how? I blurted, heart pounding as tangible uncertainty flowed around us like the very essence of the storm. You left. You disappeared. I am everywhere you allow me to be. Rosa's gaze held a fathomless depth, her warm presence radiating through the apprehension surrounding us. You all needed to learn lessons of love, of forgiveness. The silence was never just about you, she murmured, glancing momentarily at my children. It echoed from my own fears and insecurities. Your fears? I repeated, feeling the fabric of our past unravel even further. What does that even mean? The key unlocked part of our shared history. A symbiotic silence fostered across the years, tucked away in dark corners, waiting to be acknowledged. She gestured around to the scattered remnants of our lives, the diary, the charms, the photographs. Noah and Mia may be silent not just out of their own volition but as a reflection of all that was unspoken among us. A stormy rumble outside punctuated her words, a cruel reminder of the chaos that threatened to tear apart everything if left untamed. Rosa stepped closer, and I could see the glimmer in her eyes. But their voices were never fully gone, only cloaked in uncertainty. If you wish to release them, you must face the fears that govern your lives. My heart raced at her words, the challenge glimmering like a beacon in the oppressive fog. What if the fears manifest into something we can't handle? I whispered, feeling hopelessness creeping in. What if facing them only tears our family further apart? It can be painful, but every storm must pass, every truth yearns to break free. Rosa's voice was as tender as a mother's embrace, pulling at the thread of courage woven through our shared moments. Just then, a flash of insight struck me like lightning. The resonance of memories flooded my mind. The moments I had viewed as fragmented were woven together in a beautiful tapestry of love, grief, and resilience. It was never just one person's sorrow. We each carried it, didn't we? Yes, Rosa affirmed, allowing the tender weight of her gaze to linger on my children. But secrets thrive in shadows. To truly connect, to be whole again, you must illuminate the darkness with your truth, that will give each of you the strength to break free. In that intimate moment, I knew beyond the tumult of the storm or the fear consuming my heart there lay a chance for healing ignited by love. I glanced at my children, their wide eyes reflecting that same burning desire to rise and reclaim their voices. We were a family, and infusing the space between us with vulnerability could pave the path toward unity. Let us be brave together. I took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of their hands entwine with mine strong anchors amidst the raging storm around us. Let us share our fears, our hopes, everything we've buried together. Mia, holding her star charm to her chest, spoke up, her voice a whisper yet steady and resolute, I'm afraid of being forgotten. Noah chimed in, his voice trembling yet tinged with courage, and I'm scared I won't be good enough, that my stories don't matter. The air hung thick as I absorbed their words, the reverberations echoing in the very depths of my heart. They were flickering sparks, each flame illuminating the very shadows that had hidden their voices away for so long. But even in my reflection, I felt the pull of deeper truths rise to the surface within me. And I've been afraid of losing you both, I admitted softly, feeling the raw weight of my vulnerability pierce through the protective facade I had built. I feared my own fragility would break us apart, and I clung to silence instead of confronting it. Rosa stepped closer as if she were breathing life back into our confessions. Allow your voices to intertwine with your pain. The whispers call for unity, and together you possess the courage to mend your family's fractured narrative. As we gathered around the diary once more, my heart thrummed like a pulse, syncing with the storm breaking outside. Flashes of lightning illuminated the room as though it strived to merge my children's innocence with the truth we desperately sought. I clutched their hands tighter, guiding us forward into the abyss of shared fears. Let us read, together, I urged, opening the beloved diary, the keys to our existence, and there, as thunder rumbled on the horizon, we began to unveil the tapestry of the past, intertwining our stories and creating something altogether new and beautiful. With each turning page, the whispers of our truths felt louder than the storm, fanning the flames of our unity until they burned brightly, illuminating the path toward healing. Outside, the storm finally began to ebb, the chaos subsiding as if in awareness of the transformation blooming within us. Though the shadows still loomed, we stood together united and whole, ready to reclaim our laughter, our stories, and the voices that had always been there, waiting for the chance to be heard. And as the light broke through the window, dissolving the remnants of uncertainty, I felt a surge of hope that swept over me, filling the voids with warmth and possibility. It's time we all found our voices, I proclaimed, my heart swelling, ready to dive into the unknown, ready to embrace the kaleidoscope of our lives with an unbreakable spirit. Together, I echoed, feeling our connection weave a tapestry golden and radiant, illuminating not just the attic but the very fabric of our family. And as the first rays of dawn kissed our skin, we finally found our way, wrapped in the sacred bond that could withstand any storm. Together, I repeated, our shared voices rising like a hymn, threading through the remnants of silence, filling the spaces once carved by fear. In that moment, my heart opened wide, a cavernous echo of love and acceptance pouring through, the recognition that our story would never be drowned by the storm but would instead rise from it, stronger than ever, standing proudly in the light.